다시들 자자 갈라져 보다 내 페파 참말하더니 다시들요 내 페파 통제체 강이나 내다다 사제 그런지 너나 내 상태요 삼바 세비고 막 장도 쳐보더니다 참말을 제하고 뭐지 이때는 감성 샘기 답지 샘 대책이 뭐 우리 잡다고 요리 삼바 세면 막 사제 그 요리 내 오늘 드린디 상태지 잡다고 요리 다시 되래
Dashidele to all my friends on the live stream and also all of you who are here today. And thank you all for coming. And I'm offering you this milk of immeasurable love that comes from the Buddha's begging bowl. It is indeed an ocean of immeasurable loving kindness. And such an ocean of loving kindness can pervade all sentient beings in the three realms of samsara because they all possess Buddha nature. So this is the bowl that was created by the Buddha out of immeasurable loving kindness. And such loving kindness pervades all beings. So Tashidele to all of you.
Welcome everyone to the summer retreat, and I'm happy that we can receive these teachings from His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche on the Noble King of Aspiration Prayers for Excellent Conduct, this very special commentary. And we also will be hosting our guest Lama Khenpo Siring Tashi, who will help lead the discussion group Q&A in the afternoon sessions, and we'll be alternating with our resident Lama Khenpo Tenzin to lead those discussion groups. So please, while you're listening to the teachings of Garchen Rinpoche in the mornings, write down any questions that might arise related to what Rinpoche is teaching. And then those are the questions that will be asked in the afternoon. And for those who are watching online, please have your questions ready, as we will be asking those questions over the Zoom in the afternoon. Now we'll begin with the opening prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 1. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue.
Sancho Tune Chibata, Sancho Samba Labala, Teta Remjian Nebata, Tejian Dola Pendon, Sancho Sene Chijeje, Tejian Tuna Labala, Remba Aye.
I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Mandala offering.
Ma le lo yen den la na den yen ro gong du ji zong de so da le long ju do ba jin jie tang hong kan jian jian chai yon de ma jie da de zong wen gu bu zhe che gong mer jie dan zhen xie wa zhen jie xian jian ga ne song zhou wong da jie jie men qian lan den men men zhan xiu
An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms, if I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. When I offer it, bless me to attain the state of Buddhahood.
Om Guru Deva Jake Mantra Mantra La Patisha Sova
Page 11.
Shem Chenam Je Sambata Lo Ye Sedra Chetava Che Chon Tu Mo Te Ba Ye Chu Jian Ko Lo Gu Du Su.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
La patara de yenga dama yonde gindu la ya samsa lo donje janje tele na wada mama mela je ya kama pamba roba jaba ronga ka jula mangala so de women chije je borone to sa je ko nyo a sem chu ko mo to de ba ta la me jo lo so de so som da ga jan da chu jen chin ya so me bo jo ye lo so sem chin so da nyo da da chi na Baba Chuja and the doctor so. I think they could all number show on the Nita on Papa Zambo Job and Moramji, Jabo de Moramji Jaboson, Zambo Joba Dita, such a number Saji by Yonzo with any Yamina or Sancho, the Yamina Tachibo from Sayon Dog, Kiriowa, Trinity, Zambo Joba Shiba de Kangri, Nata, Masu Yonti, Kanko, Rawazina, or me Joba Zambo, Blombachi, and Miss Zambo Juna, or Kashi Mekeda, Jacaptera, oh, Ranki Jato Zambonti, Tata and Tinity, mentioned some Gawas de Atawori, this Zambo de Kangri Lawson. Chung Chung in at the little so charging, particularly Joba Zambo, the Kangri song. The Kangli song the Juba Zambo, the Kangli some daily song already. There is some day the Haja cheap tower, the dancing them to the 17th something, Jews someday, you jump, there is a payment over. The church they took some jeans, they can't say to woman, and the Chababa gave it to me to the Sancho to the Hajan Yard Tower Chas on it, dancing it over, gentle. There is the marking the top, this day. What is Sancho Togori? There is Zambo Jopa, Zambo Samba Zambo, Dig Chawa Zambo, the Jeva Zambo, the Ranga woman, Rangi Tamir Zambo. That you will do this summer on Yima Yore, what the Rangi Witch to Yoga some data than cover that is all your Mamboyo there. Same thing, Tamir Pingo Mata, did that you don't take it. They were a Tibet Donizo Yore. Thirteen Sanjay Tamchek, you some to Sanjay Tamchek, Toma, you don't Sancho for the same to Sancho Semdi, Mati Vatia, Manamba Cheva, Golden Conspirator, Terraton, Tambo Sancho for the same diesel, Zambo Juba the Sawa, same Zambo, make it Sawa Zambo, Juba Zambo, Choma, the Summer data or chat about it. Meet someone Samba Zambo chat about. Metabot is our Zambo Jetaba. There is in Jefferson water on him, your paper. This how there is a jet of the body tap the song already.
So today, Dharma friends, we're going to speak about the King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct. And that is a practice or a prayer that is practiced throughout all the different Buddhist traditions, throughout the different lineages. Everyone considers this King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct as most precious, very important practice. And so to put put it in simple terms for people like myself who do not have much learning. How can we understand this excellent conduct? What's the meaning of this excellent conduct? For example, we can think of different people in a country, for example, who engage in excellent conduct. There are some people who are quite famous for their excellent conduct. When we think about them, when we hear their name, then we remember what they have done and we like them. Or even on a smaller scale, animals, for example, sometimes also display excellent conduct toward each other. So then where does such excellent conduct come from? It comes from loving kindness. And we all have that, but it is extremely subtle. It is, for the most part, suppressed by self-grasping. So even though sentient beings do possess loving kindness, it does not become very beneficial or useful to them. Just like if you have only a little bit of water, you can't really do so much with it. Whereas when it rains, then the entire environment, all the plants in the environment will grow. So we have loving kindness, but it's very weak and limited due to self-grasping. And so to eliminate self-grasping and grow our loving kindness, the Buddhas gave us the method of cultivating bodhicitta. And so that is really the essence of the prayer for excellent conduct. First, if you have a good intention, then your activities will be positive. And if they're positive, then there will be positive results. And here we are not thinking just about ourselves, but we are also thinking about others. For the most part, most people only think about themselves, their own purpose. Samsaric sentient beings only care about themselves. And their love is very limited. And that is why, even though sometimes they do experience happiness, they always turn that into a lot of suffering. So all the Buddhas of the three times in the beginning gave rise to the precious bodhicitta. And they gave us a method to cultivate bodhicitta where it has not yet arisen, to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase bodhicitta. And that is really the root essence of the prayer for excellent conduct. So somebody who has a good intention, this intention of bodhicitta, will engage in good actions. They will have a good behavior, good conduct. And then as a result, they will experience positive results. And anyone can become like that. If everyone would have a good intention, everyone's activities would be excellent, and everyone's results would be positive. And so this prayer is a method given to us by all the Buddhas to cultivate such good conduct.
망과 사제에 쌓쳐버려야 돼. 직분 말에 망과 사제와 직분 말에 삼제에 시바도 가능하네. 잠벨는 게 기록도 용어이 정도 삼제를 맞대면 기록이 찍자 용어 말이. 자체종 탑을 개면 제를 맞다도 저배. 되는 잠벨는 용어 저 대마치 샘데 용이 대화 먹고리 찍자 용어 말이. 대화들 거는 대외 저 삼제를 이 용어 말이. 이 저기 샤고 말이. 저 수남제 수남지바데 대외 저들 어찌보다 어디 몇 수남제래. 강에서 어디다 쓰는 매래. 저도 칸을 셰크거든. 책이 너무 가리들. 수남매래. 삼점이 somna 나도 맞도 너는 대서데 대독에 이와서 하고 다 대외 저다 대버져 저 삼점 거고요래. 이 삼점들이 마치와 제가 탑지 아마냐가 탑 공고도 탑 주스도 산제다 뭐 양태리 잠벌랭이 되면 sepji chulok tamse ma sepji tamse lo go yore dewa goni dewa de gona ta de go yore de krichi bo cha de chusa achim bo ma de 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 yunju to topsa ta che bo de kame de nga de 다랑한테 강의 제도다 이 변에서 무슨 쭉 대통령이 세슈이지 오 대통령인데 니저 대통령 자들이 니 대통령이 가지고 세트 갖다 가지고 다다대 세르가리 대통령 가면 말이 상부요데 문에 동에 냐니우나 다 동에 세르가 나라니 세르요래 세르요래 세르다 공는데 비니 다 가리치고 다 대서 동에가 코 동에 조요라 야 추이도 용나 베르스 네 라니 소디만은 오 동에 말이 답된 도래 좀스 오 대나 가리 대라 다들 삼대 거리 삼대 조바 거리서 제대로 주도 야세서 특히 니네 때니 랑종강니 다 조바 거부터 주리스 단징이래 너희 사람 단징이지 야 한발을 다들 루지 그 마음과 지어는 저 단징이 봐 학원에 대대를 너희 사람들하고 다른 제도 봐요 대블 때리들 대기 이게 네 아들을 보지 사비를 나지 아들을 보지 또 다다 동강낭은 저사감이 동강낭이 관계 오 동강들이 그것도 하고서 람상 자로자 그래 담조래 동거리야 야 라로그 동강낭이 대다고 가는 콩랑 그 살이 지네들이 살이 늦지 동대 단상 보지 오면 삽대래 그때 나는 랑게 쏟아 디네다 같이 뭐나 그게 매네들이랑 그 강성으로 매네들은 다들 매들이 이게 대리 그래도 소문 가르치는 것들이 다 자세 노장 야 들이 살이 나무 가르치는 못하니 아들은 뭐지 나사랑한테 공공랑 야 그때랑 게디 동물들이 다 사족섬을 주 사족섬을 자체 보면 봐 하고 때 동에 니 보는 와 하고 그런 사가 제발 좀 항는이 그리 대도 딱 내종되는 그런데 강을 피고면도 되네 다디 집기된 핑고를 돌을 때는 사람 숨적이 따뜻해도 동시 못 쓰면 저사 르마 나마 나사 그러랑이나 배는 문이 다 되리 배는 대회들이 다디 막세 고토고 요래 고토빠 되는 요제 때서 요래 사지 좀 되게서는 탑을 개비 줘봐 요제도 배 마송소송 요제 가리들 마크스 장주들 세장고는 마크 고들이 지히서다도 내보는 저게 자타고요 말이야 동시 그래 산쪽섬 자치 보여 봐 맞지 타고 하고 이제 제시 자고로 hlop정매에 딱 개바치를 띵 거리 그러니까 기보 띵지는 못이라 나만이들이 네 하나들이 잡고 좁을 제가 망보 요래지 그 탐색을 게 촉면 촉자 때니 그게 장동저 제시 제바를 들이다가 로고 주제를 보지도 다 들 하장 빈살이 상 들들 같이 돼서 로마토는 로 차와래 차니 다디 고 살이나는 절대 그러라게 직접 참지 도주제를 이렇게 받았던 개왕 같이 뵙고 요래 어디 콩나발아 때리 또 그 줘서 나한다고 티나 나무기는 가리만 요래 오 예지시에서 참 안도 저래 그 시에마시는 개왕 나발아 때리 고소인데 양당양도 로랭지를 다다 찍고 많이 봐 문 투리들이 내가 로랭지 내가 롭장지나 그 탐색이 있는 것들이 하고 또 요래 내가 갑자기 또 좀 많이 봐 또 까왔지는 또다 요거를 빼나 대회들이 다 같이는 것도 많이 막 제고 제고서 개왕 답장 나를 치돌아 그만다는 그래 그 마음을 돌링 나죠 좋아더니 문틀이 주지 유는 모르더니 롭장체 지체들 그러지 깔리 얘기도 답고 잘하고 나그서 잡요리 로니스를 답고 잡요리 라르라 소리가 말이 대회는 따라가긴 할때를 생길 빈고 탐지는 통고스 그러나가 되겠다 다 같이도 것도 말이 소문은 이제 시작하면 콩나비 송로제게 들지 좋아들 맞춰 되세요
rinpoche kare 동세 추시 rinpoche
아들
동세 추시 rinpoche 상상 동마사
동생 아들. 아들. 막그 지고. 네, 어디든 주적도 만들고, 콩 금성지랑 콩 주적 때문에 주거리들 주적도 맞아, 콩 금성도 맞, 주적도 뭐 이. 다가. 네. 몇 개씩이랑 동거면도 안 좋고 오면도 이 어떻게 안 되지는 가이 자야들이 제가 우리 만보를 때 탐치를 좀 비싸를 했을 때 어떻게 하면 다몇 개 동거면 안 좋고 말이 이런 것도 어떻게 할 정도에 해지.
And so we think that it's Buddhism, the Buddhist teachings are so precious, but it's not just the Buddhist teachings. Actually, the quality that makes it precious is really love, and that is something you find in all the religions. There's not one religion that would not rely on love. It is just there is a difference when it comes to maybe amount of love that is being developed, or the skillful means that are being applied. So we find that in all the religions, and not only there actually, everywhere, everyone who has a mind wants to be happy. And if we want to be happy, we need love. There is no other cause of happiness than love. And that is what we actually call merit. You have merit if you possess love. Now, often people casually say that when they see a person who is doing really well in life, then they say that, oh, this person has a lot of merit. Or when they have a lot of difficulties, then they say, oh, this person doesn't have merit. But actually, what really determines whether one possesses merit or not is whether or not they possess love or not. And humans or animals, any being possesses love to varying degrees. And depending on the degree of love that we possess, we experience varying degrees of happiness and suffering. So when we say may sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, we are really saying may they possess love. And so the teachings are a method to cultivate love where it has not yet arisen, to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase love. That is the intention of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. So all the religions in the world possess that, and all sentient beings want to experience happiness. And that is why the cultivating love is so important. Understanding this is very important, and that is why we say the Dharma is so precious. So it is a method to cultivate love, and especially when we are in the face of difficulties. For example, I myself, when I was in prison, when I experienced great difficulties, I received this small booklet that contained the prayer for excellent conduct and together with an outline of that prayer written by other Rinpoche. It's written on these little golden scrolls, also contained printed in your book. And so actually, now when you think about gold and this little Dharma book, if I would ask anyone, what do you prefer? I give you a chunk of gold or I give you this little booklet? And most people would choose the gold. They wouldn't think that there's anything special about a book. But actually, when you're really in the face of suffering, then that book really becomes very valuable. And in fact, even if you have a chunk of gold, it creates a lot of suffering in itself because you have to hide it and protect it and so on. And so in the Dharma, it is said, in the 37 practices, there are 2 important verses. It says that all suffering, without exception, comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So we need to cultivate love. And then the other verse is about patience. To all those who desire a wealth of virtue, all those who do harm are like a precious treasure. So that is a verse on patience. So what we need is love and we need patience. And these two verses really became very important to me during my time in prison. In prison, I thought that this is my time to practice patience. And this suffering arises as a result of self-grasping. Whatever I experience now in this life is the result of my actions committed in previous lives. And for the future, if I want to avoid more suffering, I must eliminate self-grasping. And so in this way, seeing it this way, I was able to tolerate or accept the hardship I experienced. And so during this time in prison, Nangchen Ade Rinpoche, he actually wrote this prayer down and then also gave it to me. And so for some context, during this time in prison, if any of the prison officials would know about any such activity, they would immediately put iron shackles on you. They would tie you up in shackles and then you would be beaten. So it was really a prison of barbarians. So it was quite a sensitive activity, but he wrote these words down because they're very meaningful. So what he wrote is an outline to the prayer of excellent conduct, which is what you see in all the italics in this book, is the outline, and then passed it on to me, and really it became something that I protected, even with my own life, and. So that is this text that I received from him. The original print is in the beginning of the book, and so it is a teaching that was given by the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra to Kumara Sudana, or Norsang, called Norsang in Tibetan, and then Ade Rinpoche wrote down this outline and gave it to me. And so it's really extremely precious, because it shows us the way to cultivate bodhicitta, and I really understood that to be an antidote to suffering during my time in prison. So three very meaningful things came together with this book, and that is not one who wrote it down, which was Ade Rinpoche, and then what it contained, the essence, and then also that he gave it to me. So that was very special. And now I'm starting the tradition of this teaching, or I'm introducing you this text to you that also contains the outline. And so me explaining that to you maybe also involves a little bit of deception, because I'm not a great scholar who is actually really qualified to give a really like an authentic explanation, a commentary on the prayer for excellent conduct. So I can't really explain the words in a scholarly way, but I do understand the meaning, and I understand the preciousness of bodhicitta. And so therefore I'm passing this on to you. And also you will have an opportunity to learn more about that by asking questions. And also, even though I do not have much learning myself, also we have Khenpo Tenzin Rinpoche here, who has already given a commentary on this teaching. And you can also ask him questions about that. And so right now I'm just really really making an effort in putting that out there, this text with the outline out there. So it was written by Ade Rinpoche, and Ade Rinpoche comes from the Trushik monastery, and was the 7th incarnation of his line. And so he was the one who gave me that text, and now I'm passing it on to the disciples. And also there are many great scholars, another great scholar who also came here. And you can ask them, the Khenpos, the scholars, questions. So I myself, I'm elderly, and I'm trying my best to pass that on to you, but I also do not have a scholarly understanding like these Khenpos do. So if you ask me questions, I might just not be able to give you a really precise response. And so that is why I will be able to help you and answer your questions in the discussion groups. And that's actually something that's very important on an ongoing basis, not just now here at this time, but at any time. Because by engaging in these discussion groups, you will be able to really grasp the essence of the Dharma teaching that is being discussed. So anyways, I'm starting this tradition now of giving you a new teaching, something that I haven't given you before, this prayer together with the outline. I'm starting this as an encouragement for you to continue your study and practice of this text, and you can continue this practice and study with the Khenpos, with the great scholars, also in the future, continue to ask them questions and so on. And so for myself, I'm just introducing you to this, and also because this is a very special text to me. I was in prison for 20 years, and during this entire time, I had tightly held on to this text. I had always kept it very dear, and I did not lose it to the so-called barbarians at that time. So it's very important for everyone to see, and I felt that it will bring great benefit to you. So I myself actually, I don't really hear much anymore, don't really see much anymore, but I'm just kind of pushing myself, making myself to put this out there because I really feel that it will be of great benefit to you.
Lama major bote ji ngawa gerung kumsang doji lama major boyo koshu kami ngala kareso ta ngake zangbo chubo mona to sorti doju kenin age yin song de gerung kumsang doji teso mari ti chudi yong ti ha ko namni samche de ba be de na ta zampu to sorti kenin ani ta kanda ji yore de sore de gerung kumsang doji re de lama major bote ji ngawa kongre kumsang doji. Gerong.
And also one example of a person who had really seen the preciousness of this prayer, of excellent conduct. There was one person who actually took a commitment to recite this prayer 100 million times. And so that was at the time when Lama Mingyo Rinpoche had passed into Parinirvana. There was a monk called Gelong Gunzang Dorje. And he then at that time took a vow, a commitment to recite this prayer 100 million times.
There Jase Dani Chembo, Jono Dorzanki, Toman Jamyang Tama Kumnagapar, Yin Jatimare, Kundu Zangbu, Norzangla, Davi Yikiba, Sanchuk Serenboji, Gune Langdi, Lapti Monam Tata, Ne Tada Matama Mipar, Dute Sumbala, Poko Zambo Jobe. Monam de Jabu, Zabe Sabjetan, Saison Joju, Monam de Young Tarsan Basawatan, some le Tamboran Jites.
So then the prayer, the outline begins with the great Kumara Sudana, wonderful wealth of youth, this Norsang, was a bodhisattva who relied upon 100 gurus from Manjushri to Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra said to Kumara Sudana, reciting this prayer with the thought of the precious mind of bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, comprises the essential points of every aspiration prayer. The outline of the Noble King of Aspiration Prayers for Excellent Conduct is divided into 3 sections: the meaning of the title and the translator's homage, the main part of the prayer, the concluding activities of the text. And of this, first there is the
진동들이 팍팍 잡아리 요는 잡아리 착탈로서 사실 이제 사이스 니빠 모남제 용물이 무로이나 담배 주장 무저 모남제 예와 예 빨리해봐 지 모남제 표현된바 동양 땡땡 적도와다 섬레서 강도 홍도랑 아데 강보 순남제 초사와라서.
So first is the meaning of the name. In the Indian language, the Arya Bhadracharya Pranidhana Raja. Then in the Tibetan language, the Pakpa Sangpo Chöbe Mönlam Gyalpo. And then in English, the Noble King of Aspiration Prayers for Excellent Conduct. So that's the meaning of the name. Then the translator's homage to the ever-youthful Manjushri. The main part of the prayer. First, there is the preliminaries, purifying the mind stream through the 7 branches. Second, the main part, a detailed account of the prayer's components. And third, the conclusion. In the end, an outline of the prayer's benefits. So regarding the first one, there are 5 preliminaries.
수남이 저시만 시바는지 오 다제 도와자 저보줄nga gebjo 번째가는 참는데 대말이 수남시 보지 샘대시 좀 샘대 요리 샘대 냠대 샘광 냠대들이 동이 요리 동이의 단디가 접속들이 단디의 지성들이다 기암기와 이런 정도요 단디의 잡을들이 삼바된 게 세번 방송 내가 술람시바데 삼바 고고요래 삼바 세비가리데 삼바등이 별 술람 가리래들 던로 옛날에 술람 그저 요래 강에 마당 보건 드시데 노tok semje 남제를 마당 보건 드시제 성데 야 들어 그들을 안서 초고 요래 초들 안 오마테 그 요래 다 데리 들어는 semje 마당 보는 인가 냠도 sem을 대학 가리도 데는 마테게 되니 야 라그 루샤타 오마지마 당호 루지 바드들이 다리도 오마세기 요래 제도 상태가 마티 주바 요래들 점바 초점 보고들랑 누바 방거 요래 람지가 누바 방도 요래 옛날에 다들 주바 요래 보고들 누바 같았다는 것도 평소에 점바 초점 주바 이렇게 상태에 주바 제발 상태 좀주 참아 참거 요래 벌써 다 시합 매발에 시험에 받을 거리다 나가 버려서 다디게 다좀 받는 양기다라요 말이 이 탑을 막해와 때가들이 수남에 세가 수남래데 세가 수남 많이 봐 다디기 때문에 이런 거를 사보는 정도 요리 대외 대상제 수남지 차지 타마 싸네 이렇게 싸니 싸고 싸로까지 싸고 수남저 상태와 하고 이 상태에 답보자 이 답보자 주변에 답보자 그래 야 사마를 사마 재미있어 그래 사실 진짜 사마 재미지 사마 재미있는 랍치보리 별로 따뜻다 사바자치 보시나 그러니까 제가들 서울만 보다로 같이 용을 이 참만 쏘나면 뭐 하고 요 말이 배는 도는 떨어지 마 샤우나 까마지 요리 이 사마 셀이는 저는 저 셀비 자치고 저 셀다시요 말이 셀 사는 사이도 뭐 셀들랑 이 요리지 사진을 대하고 삼지 중지 요런 대 삼지 개베 저래서 그다다데 다담 코데 탐체데 두습도 개베 자와데 삼지 자치 뭐요 별로 들어 속자 삼니 제게 오 순남리에 삼지에 순남리에 하고동서를 이 강정을 빌어 잡담냈다나 셉지는 필말소 셉지는 필을 삼지셔 순남을 저런 저러요래 대수스러운 거 저자 하고를 대수남도 사과들 들이 파르도 선바 저거들이 탑당 또당 뭐람 이시이소 탑을 때린다 사지 순남들 더니 어때다 다 순남 차송지 이 습지 탑지를 피비쳐도 뭐고 어디 다다 뭐하다 뭐람 되겠다 다 사진도 하나를 쪽도고요 이 쪽소를 들이니까 게다데 유체야 요 말이들 방송은 저특과도 양통을 소문 빼대 요고요 이도 사지에 탑을 개봐야지 바로도 서바져네 탑들이 내리대 말아리베 결국 제시를 소말이 세세 초지 바로는 탑지도 알아로 매지 릉아이서 사세티 탑지 세계를 피베 제탑을 제소를 이 사바촌나 소소를 넣어요래 예수는 탑들 타만 소나 먹이와 탑지 개발을 저 탑 누게 개발을 저탑 그래서 사지에 탑들이 탑다 시랍지다 사지만도 이는 요 말이 별나 시랍도 세가서 때리들이 탑들이 하던 같이 보이는 것들이 대회들이다 송남제 초 사과라지 소랑 초도받을다 소랑 초가 파르스 스마트로 다다 주체 메바 샘디올 때 유니 핌데다 잠바 디트니다 소랑 저기 숙주 로요리 대로가도 시라고 차가 생긴 거래데 대르티사 더도리 벨라 쳐있는 넘대사 오늘 때 넘대 들만 오만은 말쳤도 말도서 그래 됐어 이들이 조하는 맞죠라 그래 뭐안 맞이라 그러지 뭐라도 왜다들 돌아도 요래 control다 차도 따라서 게자지 저기를 되네 때문에 탑들이 다 모람들 모람 좀 뭐다 모람송 대통바 예수께 송도 하대 사도 무슨 배샤는 로 상치 동바지리 대인저 딱발로 말이지 남과 조항을 요거리지 남과 조항을 여기다 예박도 오고 그래서 찍바래 주력 상제 송지 찍바래 데이터 하고서는 다 이해는 가는 배강을 총나 선남사까지 강을 파대고 제때 당시 선남을 저런 로도 상태 모나고 제답서 들이 삼아 선남들 들이 다도 선남들 뭐냐면 공리고 맞지와 제와 뭐냐면 공리고 탑 대선 센터로 초사지 봐도 제가 이나 되게 뉴모바 쪽 디기 버들이 이나 된소 말이 속속 담지 얘기마다 되는 거에 선남들 초사고 다 합성
So the first one is the gathering the accumulation of merit. So the first one of the 5 preliminaries, gathering the accumulation of merit. So we already mentioned before what merit actually is. And so that is why we should understand that merit does not just mean that I'm going to spend my entire life in retreat and just practice. That is not the only way of accumulating merit. There's merit really to be accumulated in whatever we do. And so first of all, that is because we all possess Buddha nature. It's always there with us. Buddha nature is empty. The empty nature is always present, but it is obscured by self-grasping. And so for as long as there is self-grasping, there is virtue and non-virtue in our minds. When we separate from self-grasping, we are able to cultivate true merit, which is immeasurable love and compassion. For example, where can we find this cause of merit, of love and compassion? We find that, for example, between mother and child, even in the animal realm. So that is why we say we see all sentient beings in the 6 realms like a mother sees her child. For example, even in the animal realm, an animal mother takes care of her child. She gives the child milk and so forth and protects the child. And then when they stay together, they experience great happiness. So first the mother gives the child her body of flesh, blood, and bones. She gives the child milk and so forth. The mother gives a body to the child. The mother gives milk to the child, gives love and patience to the child. For example, between a mother and her child, a mother would give anything to her child. So she practices really generosity. She also practices ethical discipline because she doesn't want to harm the child. Then she also is patient because no matter how troublesome the child is, she never gets angry with the child. She doesn't hate the child. And then she always sustains, and that's patience, she always sustains an ongoing stream of love for her child. And that really is meditative concentration. And then she's diligent in all of these activities. That's diligence. The only thing that is often missing is the perfection of wisdom, because the mother thinks that's my child. So she feels great love for her child, but she doesn't feel the same kind of love for anybody else, any other child. And so because of a lack of wisdom, the mother also lacks a skillful means. And therefore, the activities are partially a merit, but also the other half is self-grasping. The mind is still obscured by self-grasping, and therefore the activities still become a seed for samsara. And so the Buddhas gave us a method to cultivate true merit, and they taught us how to accumulate this merit. So first, the way we need to recognize merit is that merit is love. It is loving kindness. And loving kindness must be protected with patience. So the Buddhas essentially taught us to cultivate immeasurable love. It is immeasurable love. When love is immeasurable, this is what gives love its great power. For example, if the intention is so vast, if it is immeasurable, it is just like you are planting countless seeds into a field. There will be a lot of crops. So the mistake we often make is that we don't recognize the opportunities for accumulating merit all around us. For example, if you think of a rock, a piece of stone, when the sun shines on that piece of rock, then you can see like little stars pervading that rock. It's all glittering. And actually, it is pervaded by gold. And we consider gold to be very precious, but then we also don't know how to extract the gold from the rock. Actually, it is said that the essence of earth is really gold, but we don't really know how to extract it. And so the Buddha taught us how to recognize merit. In all the small things that we do, we can see it as a way to accumulate merit. In our dedication prayer, we say, I dedicate all the roots of virtue accumulated by myself and others in samsara and nirvana throughout the 3 times. So, for example, even when you cultivate love and compassion for an animal and want to feed them, then that is great merit. You just need to recognize it and then dedicate this root of virtue that you have created. Or when you go to pee, you can think that may be of the benefit for all sentient beings. Then even that becomes an accumulation of great merit. So we just need to know how to accumulate merit. We need to be skillful in accumulating merit. And so essentially we are accumulating merit through the practice of the 6 paramitas. There's also teachings on the 10 paramitas. So the 4 additional paramitas are the paramita of skillful means, the paramita of power, the paramita of aspiration prayer, and the paramita of primordial wisdom. So regarding the paramita of skillful means, so this is the methods that the Buddha taught on how to recognize merit and make everything you do become an accumulation of merit. Then once you have accumulated merit, you should dedicate it for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's the paramita of the aspiration prayer. And when you dedicate your merit, it is like you're putting your wealth of virtue into the bank of the Buddhas. When you put your wealth into the bank of the Buddhas, you deposit it there, then there it will never become exhausted. It will actually increase more and more. It is just like adding a drop of water into the ocean. So the 10 paramitas are a method to accumulate merit. Also, once when Milarepa gave a teaching on the 10 paramitas to Gelong Geshe, he said that aside from accumulating merit in whatever you do, there is no other perfection of skillful means than that. So in whatever you do with body, speech, and mind, you can accumulate merit. And then you need to seal that merit with dedication prayer. And then it becomes a true vast merit. And in this way, if you apply skillful means in this way, even non-virtue can be transformed into virtue. Suffering is transformed into happiness. So that is the skillful means that the Buddha had given us. And so the Buddha gave us skillful means and wisdom, and it's really only the Buddha who possesses the ultimate skillful means and wisdom. So the accumulation of merit, again, basically means to accumulate the paramitas, or to practice the 6 paramitas, and then dedicate this merit for the benefit of all sentient beings. So it is just important that you seize the opportunity to accumulate merit, or that you skillfully extract the virtue in anything that you do, just like you are extracting oil or butter from milk. It naturally pervades the milk, but you need to extract it. Or it is just like putting your wealth of virtue into the bank of the Buddhas. And once you have done that, so once you have accumulated merit, you have to dedicate so that the merit does not become destroyed. There is 4 causes that lead to the decline of your roots of virtue. For example, if you get angry or jealous and so on. So the dedication prayer is a method for you not to lose your roots of virtue. There's this one quote I came across, about a Christian quote I came across, right, something that Jesus said, and that is, he said that the worldly treasure houses are empty of any substance. They are not reliable and they are not permanent. It is better to put your wealth into the treasure house of the heavens, of the skies. And that really, in my mind, means generosity. What he's really saying is that you have to practice generosity. And so again, in this regard, all the religions are really the same. And so if you understand it in this way, you will be able to see the opportunity in accumulating merit in anything that you do. And then if you dedicate your merit, then that virtue will always further increase. It will never decline. It will increase more and more. Also, it is said that the offering of the 7 branches is an antidote to the 6 afflictive emotions, and also a way to accumulate great merit. And so that's really the essence. And elsewhere we can find more elaborate explanations on that. But really everything is included within those 7 branches.
류가 예수문다 땅도 다담은 거니 상마 제자받을 류가에서 개발 고르치와 가래리 땅이 곰자가 이지 가지는 샘내로 따가 이지 대담자체거리 마시 받을 류가에서 개발 고르들 랑코르다 다지세만 출발하는 랑코르라서와 저들이 사족 생기지 개발 고르들 날상만이도 사죠 들이들으니 너무 상따답게 받을 류가에서 개발들 들이니네 당년에라서와 초바소 대고는 냠니 개발 대탐세지 들이제를 대타 팽게 요리다 다담은 요리 대르더니 셉다도 정말 류가 있으면 차차와 간그 인보리들 다 톡도 현 상토가 아재게 인보리 아재도 나 수고이 나간 먹고 나 추먹고 가는 상고 요리 나디 쳐다더니 다다 사가 수나한테 좋다 나를 늘나 참이 세면 동에미 대요리 디수나고 저세 동타나 들이 네 사자비는 데가 손에 수나고 같이 제대로 속보로 소매 빵고 차도래 제도 네번 텐트면 나가요래 수나고 저세 동들이 대여는 상인데 그거 요리 가면이 때리들이 맞이는 추고도 어디요 셔서로 셈 시간만도 리드 셔도 얼마도 셈시야 요만 양을 다보신가 양을 마다야 가지를 줘고 우리 내가 리다가 이상 사죠 추시와 나도 다 삼지고 요리 때리더니 추고도 먹어지 라는 네와 고도 먹어지 제대로 보면 알겠지 나 얘기 뭐 사탑이 나지
And so then the first one is prostration. So it says, so the first one of this accumulation of merit. With purity of body, speech, and mind, I bow to all the heroic Buddhas of the past, present, and future. So we prostrate. And so in our opening prayers in the Dharma, which is the second page in our yellow prayer book, it says, until I attain enlightenment, I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. And so that essentially means that I am always going to meditate. I'm always going to look at the nature of my mind. Then secondly, it says, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue for as long as I live, until I die. And that could mean, for example, to spin a prayer wheel for the rest of your life, or to hold a mala, and so on, as a support for cultivating bodhicitta. In my case, for example, it means to spin the prayer wheel for as long as I live. And then in the third line says, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from now until this time tomorrow. And that refers to the various kind of short-term practices that we do, such as the Nyingne or the Nyungne practices or other group practices we do together. And so now, in terms of prostration, so with purity of body, speech, and mind, I prostrate. Prostration is mainly an antidote to pride. So we, for example, think that I'm wealthy, I don't need anything, I don't need the Dharma, and so on. And you might feel that everything is going well, you're not sick physically, you don't experience a lot of mental suffering. That is because you possess great merit. But then this only lasts until the merit comes to an end, until it is exhausted again. Therefore, Sakya Pandita also said that merit becomes exhausted. For example, in the early parts of your life, you might find yourself wealthy, and then in the later parts of your life, you become impoverished. Or in the earlier parts of your life, you're healthy, and later you become sick. So because merit becomes depleted, we need to accumulate merit. And so even though we are prideful, it is because now we are alive. But later when we die, the mind does not die. It is just the body that dies. And so after the body has died, the mind goes on, either to take birth in a pure land or in any other impure state. And so that is why we need the Dharma. We need loving kindness. And so if there is a question about do we need the Dharma or do I not need the Dharma? Needing or not needing the Dharma is really a question of needing or not needing happiness. So the Dharma is not just for this life. So prostration, again, is an antidote to pride.
탑지 잡아다가 가면 일단 세계 내lok들이 산적 세비다만이 사바 세민바요는 로그도 저거 탑지를 착착을 요리 다들이 이런 이식건강이들이 샘내lok거든 내에서 탑지들이 더처럼 뛰어든 세계 동무 더처럼 뛰어든 뒤섬지 사제 탑지 탁당 예비 받자고 동당은 되니 약간 yap자 좀 어때지 이제 사네 산적 선반이 강들이 라게 주의를 하나 이게 사례디 제 대다하면 되죠. 그냥 다 용띠 줘봐도 지금 나가 사지. 이 스모디 기는 가리 오 나제비 받다 산적으로 대바실들이 너는 당도 이기서는 대바실라 들이 사서고 고추고요 레디.
And then the next verse, so then it says, I bow with as many bodies as there are atoms in the world. And so that is the prostration of the body. So there's prostration of body, speech, and mind. And so when we cultivate immeasurable love and rest within the natural state of the mind, then this becomes homage or prostration to the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya. So when you rest within the natural state of mind, within primordial awareness, then, so it says here in the prostration of the mind, on each atom, I imagine there to be as many Buddhas as atoms in the world. So what it means is that when you rest within the natural state of the mind, you are inseparable, indivisible from all the Buddhas. So that is the prostration of the mind here is the ultimate prostration. When the twofold bodhicitta are present in your mind, you are really performing the prostration of the mind. And regarding the prostration of the speech then, praising their perfections. So you're bringing to mind the qualities of all of these Buddhas, and you express these qualities. That is the prostration of speech. So as ultimately, prostration really comes from a mind of faith. There's these three kinds of faith: the clear faith, the longing faith, and the trusting faith. When you possess faith, you are really performing prostration.
초밥을 노차도 세는 뭐 초밥을 와서 내들 메소도 많다고 담아서 선인도 도와도 마음도 자와 대다는 초밥제서 대든들 메도 담반 초와 담바들 하정자 전부 약수지 뭐고지 사지를 약도 요마이까지 라는 생각된 초밥을 만들어 라는 다되냐고 걔들 가장 잘라서 전부는 들이 저땀 청문에 대서들이 약수의 사제 분들이 랑 대서 나디 판로 요래되나 나디의 선생이 뭐는 배나더니 주가 강정 뭐더니 대서 좀이나 들이 될 양데 접주는 제외 양통에 요래되 동당문이더니 나디 장로 요래 메토다만 총하다만 동대래지.
Then next is making offerings, and making offerings is an antidote to attachment and stinginess. So it says, I offer to those heroic Buddhas the finest flowers, garlands, music and ointments, excellent canopies, choice lamps, and the best incense. So this term finest flowers, garlands, and so on, finest, that is really the key word here. So we are offering the very best, the finest of offerings. And that is not because the Buddhas have a certain preference for things, that they don't like bad things but just good things, But the reason why we are making finest offerings is in order to purify our own self-grasping. So whatever is most precious to us, if you have an object that you find very precious, the more you hold on to it, the more, and that deepens the bondage. But if you give it away and if you offer the very best that you have, then your self-grasping actually diminishes. So making offerings is an antidote to attachment or self-grasping and stinginess. So when you're making offerings, we should offer whatever is the finest. And then there is also a result corresponding to the cause coming from that. On the relative level and on the ultimate level, we purify self-grasping.
Kuba 제발 보고 주거든. 젤능디 라만 재미들이 대선 그래. 답배도 가서 하장 집어를 내나. 다들 나 집어를 성상데 대박차 줘버려. 말이 우디 생각 담처럼 멀상 다디 박차 줘고 말이 깍들이 줘봐 먹어. 뭐 강성 대마사다 줘봐 먹고 그래서 이제 이제 칸나 요바 담치 다다다다 라나 요바 줘봐서 강통 주제를 줘봐. 족 다터로도 강이라 오늘 하자 야고 건조섬 주 생각 담처럼 대다 줘봐 먹고 줘봐 템바리 줘서 삼삼도 라나 요바 줘봐서 라로 매배 줘봐더니 양 강통을 남이 자시가 되다 자완탐을 랑면데 람지가 취이는들이 롱그 시간 탐전 줘봐 람지가 자시 뭐 요래 요티 벗음 줘봐 요래 대답이 로그서는 주고서 이제 띵수고 그 다들 좀 촉사 탐계에서 오 시간 탐전 요래들 요래 야소 말말 대시가 로그서들이 랑그 로그서만 한 부거들이 불들이 양 수능 토크 요래서 라로 매배 줘봐.
And so these are these past offerings. And regarding these past offerings, actually, Lama Chima Dorje also said that whenever, for example, you see a beautiful flower or something that is very nice, where you feel that, oh, today I saw something really nice, normally this is how you are actually creating a karmic imprint, a habitual tendency in your mind. So instead of that, if you see something very beautiful, something that you like very much, instantly, the moment you see it, think that I'm offering that to the Pure Lands, to the Buddhas in the Pure Lands. Then in that way, if you're offering it up right away, then you are not creating a karmic imprint of self-grasping in the mind. So whenever you see something very pleasing in this world, immediately make it an offering. Whether you see something or hear something or come into contact with something, form, sound, smell, taste, touches, and so on, all of these can become these surpassed offerings. You can offer them all to the three jewels or the Buddhas in the Pure Lands. And then there are the unsurpassed offerings. By the power of my faith in the deeds of Samantabhadra, I prostrate and present vast and unequaled offerings to each of the victorious ones. Here we make natural offerings that pervade the entire realm of Dharma Dhatu, the Pure Lands of the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakayas, which are endless and which are endowed with perfect qualities. So when you bring them to mind, then you're making these unsurpassed offerings. And so you might think that, well, there are all these Pure Lands, and then that's it. You don't think anything more. That's not enough. So you have to bring them to mind. You have to bring to mind all of these Pure Lands and offer all to those Pure Lands. And in this way, you are accumulating great merit. So these are the unsurpassed offerings.
양은 돈이 돼 약과 샤과 대과 샤과 일어나서 해당 조리 딘조 해당 샤고 요래지.
And then next is the branch of confession, and that is the antidote to mainly hatred or anger and all the other afflictive emotions. So we are confessing or laying aside misdeeds. So what we really need to confess or lay aside is anger. The moment it arises, think that that was not okay, and see it with mindfulness. So anger or any other afflictive emotion, when it arises and we allow it to be there, we are forming a karmic imprint, a habitual imprint in the mind. So recognize that, oh, there's this imprint, I'm creating an imprint, and immediately confess it with a mind of love and compassion. So the branch of confession mainly is an antidote to anger or hatred.
차도가 이모들은 짓이란 거 맞아요. 다 뉴모바 총총 나는 노바 체시의 차도리 사비여성로 소낭제는 인신계의 차도들은 랑그 뻔뻔다는 라만단단의 야공부를 속고 탐지 나한테 가지를 들이 인다라를 차도들 소남제배 저지 들이 대그랑 삼지에서 책도고요. 대과 샤고이나서 대과 샤지요. 시당결은 공자상들이 대과 샤도 대하고 대과 샤고이나서 시당 쪽을 봐.
And then the antidote to jealousy is rejoicing. And so jealousy, actually, among the different afflictions, jealousy is a smaller affliction that actually causes the greatest harm. Sakya Pandita also said that an evil intention is what causes all your marriage to become depleted. And that happens, for example, between relatives or gurus, or some people who think they're very influential and who are wealthy. First, they're very prideful in what they possess. And then when there is somebody who is similar, then they are jealous and competitive with each other. And so these emotions, they destroy or kind of burn away our love. But also these are negativities that can be confessed and in this way purified. For example, if we apologize and we are confessing our negativities. And so again, when we confess negativities, we confess mainly anger, but all the other negativities as well.
너는 생고마가 사지 상적 선바 강의로 대마 진 로아 끈지서는 강하는데 로아 저저 저저 비마다 베이버는 투보면은 이 대야버리 도도고진 투바는 비대 이세영 권인 투바리도 따도 투바리도 살을 될 이세영 공부했더니 가고냐 대래 로아 끈지서는 강하는데 내가 이제다 시주를 삼제 이게 뭐지 지는 오 디스람들이 지세요 한번 디스람 냠도 좋고요 내 먹는 소리 될지 차도가 뭐 지세요 한번 말이지.
And so we can rejoice in the great merits of the great beings like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and then in the merit of all other sentient beings. For example, also animals. When we see a mother and her child being harmonious, we can rejoice in that and think that is wonderful. May they always be harmonious, and we rejoice in that. Or when someone cultivates love, think that this is wonderful. I rejoice in that. And if you rejoice in the virtue of others, you will receive the same merit. This also was taught in the prayer of Sukhavati, of Devachan. So the antidote to jealousy is rejoicing.
콜로라라고 이몽들 담에 취시받으면은 담에 취라더니 시럽지에 요래 오 상태도 다 치보지마 내와도 내가 저 상태에 막 동에가 저 단지에 막 취르지는 하고 말이 대하고 할 때 말더니 취조 콜로고 소아다바 뜨먹니 뭐 취조 콜로고 소아다바 그랬지.
Then number 4 is the request with the noble purpose for one's own and others' benefits. So there's to turn the wheel of Dharma. And so to turn the wheel of Dharma, or requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma, is the antidote to ignorance. So it says, I entreat the enlightened protectors who have attained the detachment of Buddhahood and illuminate the worlds of the 10 directions to turn the peerless wheel of Dharma. If we possess the Dharma, if we understand the Dharma, and wisdom arises, and wisdom understands the preciousness of love. It understands that love is the cause of all happiness and self-grasping is the cause of all suffering. If we do not have the Dharma, we will not understand that. So supplicating, requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma is the antidote to ignorance.
오 상제다다 열라만 탐제다다 열에 열만했잖아. 다다 라만 탐제 그때 끝을 접차를 대봐도 마음 잡거리. 대 동물이 그들이 죽어라 탐로를 죽어들 로고들 접아 여면 제반 요거 요래. 그동좀 강과 또 맞다 그래. 저거 내가 살려라만 매도 말이. 대 동물이 동물고 내 요래 대열더니 가디나더니 까바신 거더니 요봐야다가 탐만져서 어제 대대다고 옛날 양 tel다가 대 연말에 시바 뒤를 가고 뒤를 랑 못남잖아. 그래서 사지에 때마야 한번 잡으려는데 자라 생각하는 매버땅이 따다 녀마지도 안 받고요. 배도 사지에 때마다 매야요 말이지. 난 대책 좀 보대야 돌아도 요면 세답을 취하면 로야 요 말이지. 그래서 이제 연말에 시부고는 대대받아 못남자고 요래지. 네 태도가 뭐
So next is the antidote to doubts, and that is to request not to pass into nirvana. And so we often think that now the Buddhas or a Lama is a guru is there, they're present, but then now later they're not present, they're not there anymore, they're gone. Or we make prayers for the long life of a master. We say may they live for hundreds of years. But actually, even when their body passes on, their mind really dissolves into the Dharmakaya. And then from the Dharmakaya expands, countless Sambhogakaya manifestations will arise. The body on the relative level is just like an empty house. And it's not the actual guru. The actual mind of the guru never ceases to be, always remains. And so here we beseech them to always remain and to remain for as many aeons as there are atoms in all worlds. And so even though they always remain, we also need to recognize that they always remain and rejoice in that and pray that they always remain. For example, through the power of such aspiration prayer, in the past, for instance, the Buddha's teachings were almost on the verge of complete destruction. So there were certain groups of individuals destroying the Buddha's teachings, but then now again, the teachings are blazing up like fire again. So because of aspiration prayer, they can't really be completely eliminated. And so even though the Dharma will never disappear, we also have to recognize that. And so therefore this supplication to not pass into nirvana is an antidote to doubts.
Geta dandiji yibon ho yinade. Dandiji hajang chung chiborin. Jaktisum yungde somebody 그 쪽도 커져 체크하시고 놓고 미장 저랑 예제 저르지 답을 치료도 라마 개비신이 가지 너도 같이 자시는 네 제설 뒤로도 봐 역시 역디 코아바도 도저 내 피다 가지기 고딱 보잡지 네네에서 뒤로도 봐 역디 소수 쏘나서 소소라리랑 체 얼마도 그돌까는 왜 레그 타고 쏘는 거 그것도 대독도 쏘는 것도 하고 넣어요데 뒤랑에 프린트도 비지라들이 쏘는 거 저런데 왜 드리다다데 호아들이 게다데 내물 게다데 저저한 제로요리 게다지 계속밖에 먹을만이 야 요바 찌는지 망하는지 로바하는지 드리지 기어다 먹는지 게다데 저저들이 라서 심지 탐지 사고는 이 모두들이 때에서 주로 제발 요살이 주로 같이 그 랑도 또제 모았는 거 요살이 대면 사지에 보아지 십지 탐지에 들이서 다음에 지금 십지 탐지 살지 탐지 내값다 많이 봐 사지에 터버도는 거지 대고는들이 사지에 탐지는 좀 하는 로요래 남자 잡토때 맞이를 세트고 요만 뭐한테 대대들이 장보 좋아하는 저 돌들이다 뭐하다 모남지 되니까 파르도서 쪽쪽쩌더니 쪽도 모남지 또 없어 다때 사지 나와 사지 봐 파체 제취 연사래 다때 로래데 니지지리들이 그미지 양감만 좀 말하더니 민소자 페로치 다시들래.
And then the antidote to self-grasping is to dedicate one's roots of virtue. So self-grasping has a lot of faults. Lord Thigden Sumgön has said that whether it is in the Dharma or in the world, in the Dharma, for instance, spiritual masters and gurus think that I did this and I did that, did this vast, extensive meritorious activities, or even in a samsaric sense, we may think that I helped them, I did this, I did that. So this constant sense of me, that is something we need to discard, we need to get rid of that, because that prevents us from actually accumulating great merit. And so whatever happens to the other person, whether they experience happiness or suffering, is up to their own karma, their own merit. But the fact that you are helping them is your own cause of merit. And there are four causes that destroy one's own merit. And so that is if we regret having performed a virtue, or if we don't dedicate, or if we perform corrupt dedication, or if we gain some pride, we feel prideful in our accumulation of merit. So therefore, the moment we create merit, we have to immediately dedicate it for all sentient beings. And the way we perform dedication may be a little bit different in different traditions. So some maybe only first dedicate for themselves, but another way of dedicating is for the sake of all sentient beings, and not just for some temporary gain, but in order for them to ultimately attain enlightenment. And so this is similar to putting your wealth into the bank, the treasure house of the Buddhas, or your drop of water into the ocean of the Buddhas. And there it can never become exhausted. So in essence, the prayer for excellent conduct really is such a dedication prayer. And within the 6 paramitas or the 10 paramitas, it is the paramita of the power of aspiration prayer. And that seems to be a very unique quality of the Buddha's teachings. So now we will take a break for 15 minutes. Ashidalek.